Nomzamo Winifred Zanyiwe Madikizela was born on the 26th of September in 1936 in the eastern Cape town of Bizana. In 1955, she became the country's first black social worker at Baragwanath Hospital in Soweto. 3 years later, she married Nelson Mandela, an attorney and prominent leader of the African National Congress. At the height of racial oppression in South Africa, Nelson Mandela was jailed in 1962, and Winnie continued the good fight, emerging as a courageous, fearless, and dominant force in the struggle for liberation.
Mum Winnie was very young at the time when Madiba was in jail.
Yeah.
But she was a mother to even older people.
They tried to break her and failed because she was above all resilient. She was heroic. She was courageous. She was ready to stand up against all forms of intimidation.
You know, I remember when we wrote the song, Winnie, Winnie Mandela. The SABC would not play the song. We had to go and change the song and call it I'm Winning, My Dear Love. Winnie, Winnie Mandela. But the song was I'm winning, winning, my dear love. Because, you know, the SABC were very clever, but we were clever too.
2 years later, after an 8-month-long Rivonia trial, Nelson Mandela and 7 leaders accused of sabotage were sentenced to life imprisonment in Robben Island.
On hindsight, we thank God that the leadership was incarcerated for 27 years because they wouldn't have survived what we survived.
Right.
Those of us were caught up in the crossfire. The country was gripped in such extreme violence.
Arrests and raids became the order of the day for the young mother. But it was in 1969 where she endured her toughest test yet, as she was held in solitary confinement for 18 months.
That one was particularly painful in the sense that it actually dawned on me that, you know, our freedom was so priceless that even at that point, you had to make a choice whether to give in or to continue with the struggle, because so much was at stake.
Accused of inciting the 1976 uprisings, the following year, she was isolated and banished to Brandfort in the then Orange Free State for 9 years.
Winnie was a mother to whoever, a granny to our grandchildren. And Winnie, she was everything in Brandfort. She even managed, through fronting the women, to erect that Riakatala orphanage cluster village in Brandfort. It was through Winnie's efforts. This was the preparation for the very first graduation for the daycare center's children.
In February 1990, the world watched the historic moment when Winnie and her husband Nelson Mandela walked hand in hand after his release from prison.
I think of that day, how joyful it was, and you know, when you fight for freedom, we didn't even realize that we were so hooked in our struggle, and the ANC was like opium. It was our drug, and that moment to us meant the dawn of freedom. And we knew that as of that day, it was the turning of the tide of the history of this country.
The following year, Winnie was convicted on a kidnapping charge. But her popularity did not fade as she was elected president of the African National Congress Women's League and later re-elected for the same position.
Sometimes she didn't like what we were doing in government, and she wasn't afraid to say so.
In 1994, a new dawn was upon South Africa as it held its first democratic election. Winnie served as a Member of Parliament and was appointed Deputy Minister of Arts, Culture, Science and Technology.
We wish people would always remember that it was a contribution of men and women who remained in the country, those who were in exile, including the leadership behind bars who attained the freedom of this country.
After 4 years of separation, her 38-year marriage to Nelson Mandela came to an end in 1996. 2 years later, she appeared before the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Winnie served as a Member of Parliament since 1994 until 2003, before making a return 6 years later, where she served as a Member of Parliament until her death.
I think it's in the spirit of revolutionaries to say you never retire until the last of your energy is out of your system.
After a long illness, on the 2nd of April 2018, the mother of the nation took her last breath at Mill Park Hospital in Johannesburg.